and welcome to Geekflix with that new intro from Steve, which is fucking amazing. This is Sean,
This is Steve.
And this is Ed.
and we can't hear nothing you said, bro.
Yeah, it looks cool, but
It looks cool, but it doesn't sound cool.
we tried this before. I wore a Power Ranger helmet on the show. Sean was wearing helmets. It doesn't work. But thank you. I'm glad you liked the intro. That was just cobbled together in the old dome. So
It was great. It was great. Well, we're here today. We're here to talk about Fallout, the TV show. We're going through all 8 episodes. We are going to spoil, so I will play the spoiler tag. Forgot I had that one in the arsenal. Forgot the other one was kind of crappy. So it had to be Star Wars related. Sorry, but it is what it is. Steve, and Ed, you guys are deep into Fallout. It's like
Ed's rocking gear. I'm rocking gear.
I think you
Ed-
guys have been playing Fallout since I've met y'all.
See, and I have the beanie. You have the background, the Pit Boy. I don't have a Pit Boy, but what I do have is I scoured the ends of the wastelands and I procured a real life Fallout bobblehead. So what you got to know is that when you find one of these out in the wild, it provides you with an attribute that is a permanent. Okay, this permanently advances you in life. So, here he is.
That is cool, dog. That is
Fantastic.
Yeah, respect.
Now I've named him Little Walton.
Little Walton. That's dope. That's dope. You guys been playing this for a long time. So I'm gonna have y'all explain the game to me, or give a brief explanation of what the game is and what it's about, and then we're gonna dip into the show and there's so much, but what does Fallout mean to y'all? Because
So
to me,
I guess I'll start kind of like where I started with the game. Like my first dipping my toes into Bethesda games was Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. Was it 4? Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion? I think it was 4. And shortly after that, they released Fallout 3. That was my first foray into Fallout, and from there, really, Fallout 3 was huge. I put so many hours in that game. I completed it, like every side mission, every faction you could join, all the different story threads, the DLC. What was the DLC? You had to like take a boat and you went down. Where'd you go in that one, Ed? I know you played Fallout 3. I kind of went down to like, was it like Louisiana or something like that?
I don't think it was 3. I know Far Harbor was in 4. The Pit was in 3. I think it was in 4. I think that was Far Harbor, because that's where we saw, well, we see it in the show, a different version of a gulper.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well, but it was good. Fallout 3, Fallout 4, and I even played a lot of Fallout 76. Not nearly as much as some people. I think I only got to my character got to like a level 80 or 90, but my wife still plays. Her character's like a level 280 something. She's playing it right now. As we're recording, she's playing. This bobblehead was procured for my wife. This is not mine. I'm showing off my wife's goods on tonight's show.
She's deep into Fallout too.
Oh, loves Fallout. We were really excited about the show, but yeah, for us it was all just the game. We love the setting, the post-apocalyptic landscape. The games have a certain feel. They're kind of horror / comedy / war. Like they have a lot of different hands in a lot of different genres, and that's kind of what we fell in love with the games for. But that's just the game stuff. Ed, do you want to add anything? I'm sure you have lots to add to the game stuff.
Yeah, I started even back on Fallout 1 back in 97.
So the top downs, the PCs.
Yes.
Yeah, I never played that.
It's when I describe it to people, I tell them Fallout is very similar to Grand Theft Auto. The first 2 games came out that were very different but good, and then when they got to the third one, it went first person, open world, and it just put the entire universe on its ear. So they are similar in that aspect, but I've been playing since then and have loved it, every bit of it. So I've played some of the other obscure ones like Fallout Tactics, the Brotherhood of Steel one. They were not bad, but I've I'm in deep.
What was that one where you played as like the little cartoon guys and you built that little shelter, Fallout Shelter?
Fallout Shelter, yeah, that was.
I played that on my phone and on
I still do.
Xbox.
Oh yeah, I still play it because that was, I think, before
That's
76
it's like a
came
city
out.
builder kind of.
Yeah, I guess it was because 76 came out October. So when Fallout Shelter came out, actually, no, it was before Fallout 4. Fallout Shelter came out in March of 2015, and then in November of 2015, we got Fallout 4. So it was kind of an appetizer because we've been waiting so long. But it's still fantastic.
You
Hey,
guys
I
are on
remember-
a slight delay. I don't know why, but maybe it's just the recording. But the recording will come out perfect anyway, so no worries. Just to give you a heads up.
I remember playing a DLC very specifically at a specific house. That's why I'm like, I know we in Fallout 3 because it was before Fallout 4 ever came out. So I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it doesn't. I digress. I don't have any like the information pulled up in front of me. But like, what about New Vegas now? Fallout New Vegas. My wife actually has been playing a little bit of New Vegas. I've been watching the graphics right now, like looking at it now. Ooh, it looks rough.
Yeah,
it's rough.
it is rough.
And there's no like sprint, so you're just kind of like jogging all the time, and it's just like, oh. But like, I guess, from what everybody's saying and even what she's been saying, like story wise, like some of the storylines are really cool. Like it's just kind of way above board, like as far as some of the other stuff goes. So
no, I replayed Fallout 3. I was about to start New Vegas, but only a few days ago they did a next gen update for Fallout 4. So I re-downloaded all of that, and I'm about to put in some time on 4.
So, okay. You need to let me know how it looks on the Series X.
I've already played like a few minutes, and it looks fantastic. Oh, you'll be happy.
Okay. But I put so much time into it already. It's like going back is just like But Sean, what do you know? Go. Sorry, Ed. Sorry.
I was gonna say I'm just gonna reset, so we're good.
What do you know about the Fallout games?
I know enough to know that. My knowledge. If I don't know something, my knowledge of shit is like I already know though. Like I know the game. I know everything about the game. I just don't play the game. So I always thought it was cool. I'm not it never like gravitated towards me to play it. And I'm just like, I'm okay without it. I'm fine.
I think this show in particular, if you are a hardcore gamer of these games, the show is you're gonna get a lot more out of the show, because for me, this show in particular, like almost every frame is like Easter eggs. But just to explain to you, Sean, in the games like 3 and 4, and even 76 for the most part, like you create your characters, and sometimes you're kind of like a baby, and then like you play
I played 76 first. Remember, I started playing it.
That's true. I remember you got it there, and then you leave the vault and you go out into the world, and so it's like, I remember when they announced this show, I was just in my head just thinking like, man, like I really hoped they figure out a way to nail the tone and some of the things from the show, because let's be honest, video game adaptations to live action have been terrible. Pretty much
we're gonna
it's not good.
We're gonna talk about that as well. But let's get into this review. Let me go through a little synopsis. In a future post-apocalyptic Los Angeles, brought about by the nuclear dissemination, citizens must live in underground bunkers to protect themselves from radiation, mutants, and bandits. Cinematography, Stewart.
We call them Raiders.
Yeah, Dieber, the composer. Now, if you don't know who this composer is, I mean, we all know who this guy is. He did Westworld, Game of Thrones. I mean, I mean, it's the guy is amazing. That is Raymond. Is it Ramin Djawadi? I can't pronounce his last name. I really don't know how to pronounce his name, but he is one of the best composers of TV shows and soundtracks of our generation. I'm gonna be honest with you. The shit that he knocks out, dog, is his stuff is his composers are just what he does is amazing to me. You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. So again, you know, if you don't know who he is, Westworld, Iron Man 1, you know, Game of Thrones, all pretty much Game of Thrones, Pacific Rim, a lot.
Well,
So-
luckily, they had a lot to play on as far as what the game provided for music, and they used a lot
Oh yeah.
of the
Oh, yeah,
game's
they did.
music in here, and that to their benefit because the game already had an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah, the show stars Ella Purnell, Walter Goggins, Moyes Arias, Aaron Clifton Moten, Kyle McLaughlin, Michael Emerson, Johnny Pemberton, Leslie Uggams, Big Al from Deadpool, Zach Cherry, and a bunch of other people. Yeah, man. I guess we can start with our rating. I mean, this automatically gets a hero from me, man. This is hands down.
Without
We're just gonna go
question.
overall thoughts.
Yeah. Amazing. It hit every button that I knew what it would. You know, I mean, what I know about Fallout to me was hands down. It was probably one of the best video game adaptations I've ever seen. So, hands down. So yeah, that's all right. I don't have much else to say. I just want to get into spoilers because we have a lot to unpack. But again, hero for me, Steve.
Yeah, it's hands down a hero. I did not get through it in one day, but I started watching it late at night or later in the day, so I only got through 4 and then had to watch the next for the following day. But I think it is, Sean. I think it is the best live action video game adaptation that we've gotten so far.
Agreed.
That's a good thing. That means hopefully moving forward we will continue this trend, you know. But as far as this show goes, I think that they just nailed everything from the tone to the character, the looks of everything. I felt like I played parts of this show, even though this is an area that we haven't been in. But that's also fun because they allude to things from games that we have been in. So, you know, like, and I've never been to Philly, but goddamn, I sure feel like I played in a lot of cities that felt like Philly.
Megaton.
Exactly. And then, but they did everything right. Every frame is an Easter egg, down to the hacking into the overseer's computer, which is exactly how you fucking do it in the game. So, chef's kiss, love that shit. Hero from me, Ed.
Hero without question. This was good, and I've talked to a lot of people to the point of where some are sick of hearing me talk about this show. But it's a good show, and I'm excited for those who aren't familiar with the game because it has all of the things that I'm always looking for. Good character development, good arc, good storyline. The way that the show goes, it's also good because you've got characters who you start off thinking are bad, and then they come around and you're like, oh, wait, you're not actually the bad guy. There's a lot of twists and turns. You get good closure at the end, but they still leave you wanting more. And then for those of us who are familiar with the franchise and the Fallout universe, yeah, the Easter eggs and the attention to detail, you can tell that they went right to the folks at Bethesda and said, all right, work with us. Let's get this exactly the way it should be. And we'll see, because I get kind of crazy with my back information and slides, and I have over 80 slides for the show because there's so much that I kept going, oh, I need to see that. I need to see that. I wasn't sure if we had a spoiler. And of course, anybody who's played 76 will be familiar with the incoming nuke spoiler alert.
If you're in an area that, like, oh, Sean, you played, you know, that means like you need to get the fuck out of where you're at because it's about to go south.
Yes.
You know, one of the things I loved about the show is that everybody was kind of morally gray. Like
Yes.
there was people that were bad, but then they also did like good things, and then there's people that were good, but then they did bad things, and that kind of like is what the game is like in a way, because you constantly have to make decisions in the game, and sometimes you're like, fuck, I don't want to make this decision, but like I have to kill this motherfucker in order to do this. And I just think that the show did a really good job of depicting, having to make those choices.
So we're introduced to Walter Goggins' character. Walton Goggins, I'm sorry. Walton Goggins' character. And I mean, we've all seen Walton Goggins. We know what he possesses and how he becomes like a character. You love him, but sometimes you gotta hate him, but you still fucking love him because he's so goddamn good at the character that he's fucking playing. And any show that he does or movie, he's just a fun. Probably, I won't be honest with you, he's a very underrated actor. I think
he was so good in Fat Man, so good.
Yo, it's amazing to me how he's not on that level like A-list actor level.
He is now. This show is huge. Not to mention the fact that like because of this show, 76 broke all of its like current player records. Like it has more players playing right now than it ever has before. Fallout 4's download numbers are through the fucking roof. It's Fallout. Fallout's gonna get big.
Oh yeah.
So
and the fact that in this he's playing one character, but it's actually two characters.
What year is this where we're introduced here at the beginning when the bombs go off? What year is this?
So this would be October 23rd, 2077.
So one day after my birthday. Awesome.
Yes, because if you remember in the games, it was always right around Halloween.
So 2077. So in this universe, basically, we kind of kept progressing from the 50s, but never really left that style. That's why like they have like cell phones and like really cool cars that do fun, cool shit. But like all this other stuff is like very 50s aesthetic still. But you still get.
I thought that was dope. I think that shit right there was amazing. I love.
It's 50 years in our future, but it still looks like the past. It's kind of
yeah, that's really cool.
But they have your own personal robot, a Mr. Handy.
Yeah. Hey, what's this stuff?
This was just again the little Easter eggs. When they turn on the television and they get commercials for sugar bombs, which again, if you play the game, you need there's stuff everywhere that you're collecting and using. And then
sugar bombs are health.
The Grognak comics, which there's something that adds to an attribute. So again, it's just the little attention to detail that as I'm seeing it, a fan of the game, you're like, oh, I know what that is. And it kept me on the edge of my seat all the way through.
Yeah. Little stuff, just like just seeing
little things.
Just seeing sugar bombs, just seeing Grognak. You see that, and as someone that's played the game that's had to run around trying to collect those fucking Grognak comics, you see that and you're just like, oh, it feels good. This, like, look at the architecture of this 2077 Los Angeles, like the future deco, like this, Sean, this is like what Bruce Timm thought Gotham City would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's that style, 50s future. This is what we're going to get in Fantastic Four. You know what I mean? It's like if we had taken a different road in the 60s as far as like where we focused our technology efforts. But holy shit, this nuclear explosion attack.
I was waiting for this, man. That was cool.
And it's beautiful to watch. I mean,
well, it's terrifying, but yes.
Well,
it looks like they spent a lot of money on it. But I'm just wondering how the fuck did he get out of that on the horse?
I love the that's one of those mystery things we'll talk about like at the end. But like I thought this was cool. I was like, oh my god, like how's he gonna get out? But they don't show it. But like it works, man. It fucking really does work.
Mm-hmm. But it's a great.
And it's interesting. It's when you go like when you've seen it in its entirety, and then if you go back, because I've actually gone through and watched it twice now, and you go back, and now that I know what happens in the storyline, it does kind of create some questions. Like, and again, we've already played the spoiler, so if the mother was aware that this was going to happen because she had something to do with it, why would her daughter be out and about? Why would she even allow that?
But
It's
maybe
just
like maybe there was like a maybe they're divorced at this point. It's like
yeah, but
he took
still,
off
you're not
with
going
the
to let your
kid. I don't know.
yeah, may kidnapped her.
I
Who
don't know.
knows?
It felt that way that they were divorced. It felt also like maybe she didn't know either. Maybe she didn't have a connection to. Again, there's so many things that weren't answered that will probably be answered next season.
She may have not known that it was going to happen that day. Like there's like, oh, it's
True.
happening now. Let's go. And like she has no control, like no way to make them get there right now. But either
And we
way, it's
do
a great shot.
we do know they're separated because when he's taking the pictures and the guys are kind of talking shit on him, they make a comment that alludes to the fact that they are no longer together.
hmm
this was it played two parts. One, for those who played the game, when you build your character and you pick your different traits as they're explaining the different things that she does, which was fantastic from that aspect. But the other part that was nice is that, we've always seen characters go through various shows and there's fight scenes or whatever, and you kind of question, you're like, yeah, how are they holding their own? They explained it to us. She's good at martial arts, which would make it to where she could hold her own. She knows how to shoot a gun. So it also gives us a little backstory.
She's handy. And again, this is another big part of the game. These are the different attributes you can choose to spend your experience points on so that you can do different things in the game. These are the graphics that show up when you're doing these things. And let's not forget to mention Ella Purnell herself. I know her mostly from Yellow Jackets. The 2 seasons I've seen of that show, she was fantastic in. And I think that she's amazing here. She plays the part of a vault dweller experiencing the world for the first time perfectly.
Yeah.
The Pit Boys
so good.
look incredible. I mean, God.
They were really fucking well done. Like they were very, very well done.
And even just the interaction as far as what they're seeing on the Pit Boy is what we see in game. The sound effects are the same. You can even go right to that next one where I pulled the screenshot. So one is from the show, one is from the game. Identical.
Jesus. that's crazy, dog. Like they did their homework on this shit, dog. Like they went hard in the paint.
And even the suits, like the suit, what I liked about the suits is that in the game, the suits don't really have like a lot of texture and stuff to them. And in the show, they do, but like I like that, like that kind of reminds me of like how you would see like in the early 90s when you would get like video comic book adaptations and they would kind of like change the texture of the suits a little bit. I like that. I thought that the vault dweller suits, the vault suits look great.
Yeah.
So
this big wedding. Oh, so Ella Purnell's character is wanting to get married. That's her big thing. They're setting up a marriage with they have 3 interconnected vaults. Vault 31, 32, and 33. Ella's Lucy is in Vault 33. That's the one we're following. They're meeting up with Vault 32. Vault 32 comes in. They're having a gathering. Shit goes south.
Yes.
As you can see here. And I thought that was a great scene where like it was a great fight scene. Like
it was. That was a really
the
good
mixture of slow motion and not to mention like the gore in the show throughout is like, I mean, this show is a hard R rating. There's
it's crazy.
Cussing, gore, and
blood,
murder, death, kill.
Oh my gosh.
But again, it's fitting to the game because you could always choose the perk of bloody mess. It doesn't do anything for your character. It just makes heads explode and body parts fly off. So it's right in line with the game.
And I was talking to Dave last night when we were gaming about the stim packs and the fact that like in the show, you just had the graphic up just a second ago, she actually after Lucy gets attacked by her fake husband, it actually turns out to be a bunch of raiders that invaded 32 and took over and came over. So she uses a stim pack. She pulls the stim pack out of a fucking toolbox and it looks just like from the game. She stabs herself with it and up and running. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't really make sense. like but that's how it works in the game. So
But
I'm
to say,
in.
but to say it doesn't make sense is actually it does make sense because there's a lot of science shit going on in the show. There's a lot of experimentation on shit going on in the show. I'm assuming it's going on
It's
in the video game too. So
250 years in the future. Who knows what they?
it fits really well. Like, oh, if in the future we got some shit that just we just stab and heals us right away. I mean, I didn't it didn't bother me. Like I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Now, one of the things that I do like is that they didn't overuse it because we see her use it here, and then we know the ghoul uses it later on Dogmeat to save him after he stabs him. But other than that, there's really not a whole lot. I mean, they talk about it at one other point, and I'm glad they didn't overuse it because it kind of diminishes the fact of people getting hurt if every time they turn around and it's like, oh, here, just grab this and I'm perfectly fine now.
It seems like they're rare, which is good because sometimes in the
Yes.
game they are fucking rare, and you get to a point where you don't have no stim packs and it's a pain in the ass. And that's when you're eating a bunch of radiated food and fucking yourself up and what have you. Now, you're showing here now the Brotherhood of
Yeah.
Steel airship.
Here's our introduction to Maximus.
So one of the things that's also about this show that's great is that you get in at least in the first episode, you actually have titles and you're introduced to 3 separate characters. And what's good about that is there's so many different routes you can take when playing the game that there's no way they could cover all those bases with one character on the show. But by doing this and spreading it out and showing 3 different people doing 3 different things, you cover all those bases. You get to see a little bit of everything. Yeah. So it was a really wise choice, really smart choice.
Alrighty. It's very smart.
And I thought the character of Maximus, I don't know this actor. I know I've seen him in something before because he has a familiar face, but I think
that kid reminds me of Jonathan Majors, Denzel Washington, and like a mixture of
I'm like, oh look, it's King. it's King. You just cast him.
Yeah, yeah, you did. It's crazy.
I thought all this. I'm so glad that they didn't make us wait until fucking like episode 6 or 7 to see Power Armor. So good. So good.
Yeah. Lucy, it's time for her to, after everything with the Raiders, just like in the game, Dad goes missing as they take him off and she heads out. This was just one of those things that stood out to me, having played the earlier Fallout games, is they made a little comment about wearing protective eyewear because it's extremely dangerous because your eyes have been shielded all that time. I saw this image and I'm like, this looks familiar to me from somewhere. So again, just how they tied in something to every aspect of Fallout through all the games.
Yeah.
Well, even just a shot of the vault door opening and the silhouette and the white light, like all of that is from the show, or from the game. And I love the characters in Vault 33. You know, we kind of glossed over that a little bit, but we get introduced to a lot of different characters in Vault 33. And like in that fight scene, remember the pregnant lady? She gets like stabbed in the eye with a fork, and then she's still like fucking like blowtorching people. That lady's a savage, bro. Yeah. She ends up walking around with an eye patch. She makes that one dude wear her husband's tiny sweater.
Oh yeah, that was crazy, but it was good though. It was good. It was wild.
The junk jet gun was exciting to see.
Those guns are fucking great in the game. They really cause some damage, and they're silly. So, and I like that there's like this Wild West kind of feel just for this, and like maybe a couple of scenes later, but there is this definite Wild West feel that the ghoul brings to the show.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed now, when we get to the scene where they get to Philly, or what feels like Megaton or Diamond City, they play what becomes the ghoul's music. And as I'm listening to it, I'm like, there's something familiar. And I kept coming back to the old Clint Eastwood Western, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And that actually encompasses the ghoul in every aspect. He's good, he's bad, and he's ugly.
The ghoul to me reminded me of the Man in Black in the storyline for it's like Westworld to me, but it reminded me of the Man in Black in so many ways. and that's probably why I really did. I like the Men in Black in Westworld, and so I like how Walton Goggins' character is like that character that's good, bad, and ugly. Like you just said, like that is.
And it's the big mystery here is how. So when last we saw him, he was riding away from nuclear fallout with his daughter on a horse, and now it's 200 years later, and he's coming out of he's in a fucking grave with like
juice. Like I like it now. Now, do the ghouls have that in the game?
I don't know about that. I don't. That doesn't look familiar to me.
I
like
think that looks like the Radaway.
But like the radiation, like he thrives in that shit. So I don't.
Yeah, so I don't know if that kind of keeps him suspended, but they make a note, and that was one of the things that I kept like I have on my wish list, because he makes the comment of like, well, Don Pablo, he digs him up every year and has fun with him. So I would love to get a little bit more of the backstory of what happens in that 200-year time period at some point.
Mm-hmm.
I know, it's so fucking awesome though. It's like he's the dude 200 years like still living and still like, but he's dead, but he's living. This shit is awesome to me, man. Like,
but by the end of this series, you realize there's a lot more motherfuckers that was alive back then that are out walking around right now. Yeah. So you know there's a lot to unpack that we never even get into. But the end of episode 1 is our introduction to the ghoul, and it's a fantastic episode.
2.
And here's our character that kind of ties all of the main characters together. Wilzig. And he works for the Enclave. Now, they don't really go into any detail about the Enclave in this whole series. And again, I'll be interested to see how they build on that, because the Enclave is the remnants of the U.S. government, and kind of like what we saw around the table at the end of the show, those at the head of industry. And they are like the Brotherhood, that like they all become these little cults that are all striving for power.
Mm-hmm. So what's this thing right here? What is that?
So
that is.
So the super mutants we didn't get to see in this season, but they are they're a very big pain in the ass in the game. You know, when I first played Fallout 3, Ed, I didn't understand like VATS or how any of that worked. And so I was running around for a long time just trying to kill these people like real time. And it was, I wanted to throw the whole Xbox away because I'm like, this is broken. Like, you can't play this. And then I restarted the game and realized what VATS were. And I'm like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. So, but in the game, Sean, they're gigantic, what would you say, 8-9 feet tall?
Yeah, they're kind of like Incredible Hulk looking.
Yeah, like little
as far as
smaller
size.
Hulks, a little bit of smaller Hulks.
They're usually not very bright. They're super strong, and they just like to kill everything. Now, in the original Fallout, they were created through using a forced evolutionary virus. And in that storyline, there was they call the Master. They ended up having these super mutants going into other vaults and stealing all the vault dwellers and bringing them and forcing them and turning them into super mutants. So from the looks of this, I'm going to say that the Enclave is probably creating them as part of their army. So Wilzig is stealing some tech and taking off. It was a nice little call out to the game, but this was one of my moments of like suspended belief. You know, if you've got a minigun popping up out of the ground, I don't think you're going to outrun the bullets.
Well, I remember I looked to my wife when we were watching this exact scene, and I was like, I wish they would just be like having the bullets like several feet behind him.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like, don't have it like all. It's like he's running, and they're just in a constant circle around him as he's running like perfectly. I'm like, you can't follow the eye of the storm of a minigun like that, bro. Like, it doesn't work like that.
No.
I just wish, if you just tuck it back a little bit, like it was trying to catch up, but the minigun was slow. I could buy that, you know, but not the running through the bullets. But you know, whatever. It's just that's a nitpick. But But I like that,
And there were so
his
few
whole
in
thing
this.
is his whole thing is he was just trying to create a real dog. He just wanted a dog that was like normal. Like he didn't, because all the other dogs at the Enclave place that they were making were like super smart, crazy dogs, right? They're like freaking, they were following commands like telepathically, and he just wanted his dog just to be normal. And because of that, they chased him out, and he ends up running into Lucy out in the wild where Dog Meat kills a giant rad roach. And rad roaches are not really difficult to deal with in the game, but they can be a pain in the ass because like it gets dark in places and you just be getting fucked up and you're like, what is that? Like, why is my health going down? And there's just a little rad roach kicking your ass. But another cool callback.
This is again just one of those good moments in a show to where you have Wilzig explaining things to Lucy, which is really explaining it to the audience, but it's in a way that's not forced.
Yeah.
And I like when they have creative ways of doing that, of explaining things in show that's not really, it was very well done.
Because Lucy has genuine questions.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't know what the fuck is going on. And so he has to explain some basic shit that helps us because now we know that. So.
All right.
And as our characters are coming together because they realize that everyone in the wasteland is now after Wilzig.
So Maximus teams up with Knight Titus to be his squire.
Yes.
And what a great reveal.
Michael
Rapaport. Yes.
When that helmet comes off and he's fucking giving this guy the business, I'm like, oh, so perfect. I love it.
Yep.
Like it makes perfect sense when he told him to wash the fucking cod piece in the airship, and then.
So what is that? Does he pee in that thing or something?
No,
I think it was just symbolic of cleaning my jockstrap.
Oh, okay. So what's this bear thing that came out?
The Yao-Guai.
Yes.
Or yeah, I think it's Yao-Guai. Something like that.
Irradiated bears.
That shit was fucking him up. I thought that these suits were like kind of unpenetrable, but clearly I was wrong.
Well, I mean, if he hadn't had that suit, he'd be a lot worse off than that.
Oh yeah. I just like how the bear attacks and he's just running away going fuck. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Lumbering around in that thing trying to run and he can't get anywhere. It's fantastic. And he's telling Maximus, give me that stim pack, give me a stim pack so I can heal up and we get out of here. Maximus doesn't fucking give him the stim pack. He just sits down and just like he realizes like he's his whole life he's been trying to fucking, and because we didn't even talk about like the whole deal with Maximus is like getting bullied at the Brotherhood camp. You know what I mean? Like he's getting put upon. He's got this friend over there that gets picked to be Titus's squire. Turns out to have razor blades put in their boots. That looked fucking terrible.
That was crazy. That shit. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? I like, damn. Like, that thing got me. I was like, oh.
I know. Just thinking about it right now, I'm just like, oh.
Well, and then we get the revelation later on that they did it to themselves.
Yeah, she didn't want to go.
Which makes it even worse.
And so he's realizing after he's seen this happen, and he's been over here kissing Titus's ass, and the whole time he's like saying sire and this and this, and really trying to play the part. And he's like, I'm fucking in. Here we go. And then the first sign of trouble, Knight Titus just bitches out, and he's over here complaining and crying and whining, and fucking Maximus just realizes like, oh man, this guy is garbage. He's not worthy to be a knight. Fuck this guy.
Well, that, you're telling me to help you. And then in your next breath, you're like, oh, by the way, this is all your fault. And they're going to kill you for it. It's like, what the hell am I helping you for?
Yeah.
Although it is a shame that Michael Rapaport's piece was so short-lived, but very well placed in the suit. Here's all of our characters are starting to come together. They're all
So
heading in the
who's the
same direction.
who's the guy with the suit on? Like, who's that guy? Is that in the character in the game or?
Oh, he's the guy with the medicine. Nah, he's just an NPC. He's just running. So is this guy in the hat. Just you run into these people in the game all the time. They're just people that don't have much to do about anything. They're just random little snippets, and it gives the other characters like Lucy opportunity. Like she's walking around these buildings, looking around, picking shit up, and you're like, what's going on here? Well, this is what you do in the game. You walk around looking for shit, picking shit up, trying to find shit, taking shit and selling it. Obviously they can't make a whole show out of that, but it is fun to see them leaning into bits of that.
Okay. What town is this in the game?
This is not in the game. This is an area. The whole show takes place in an area that you've never played in the game.
The way they created this shit, it was phenomenal. Like it definitely had a video game vibe to it. So I was like, oh, this is
there are towns that look like this in the game. Ed's name dropped a couple: Megaton, Diamond City, New Vegas in particular. Sections of it look like this, like the airplane, the grates and all that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Look at that, Ed. You pulled your shit. You pulled your homework on this one. That's really cool.
Well, these are just some other little Easter eggs that, especially when you're in a town like Philly, there's so much to see. You almost have to go frame by frame if you're a fan of this universe. And these are just a few little things that stood out to me. You see the CMR, which was the logo on all of the trains in the Fallout 3 in the Capital Wasteland. There's a mini nuke, which is a very rare item in the game to find just sitting on a shelf in the store. Brahmin were everywhere in all the games. So just the little things have gone, all right, once again, you paid attention to all the detail and it feels like Fallout.
This is a great scene. Like when he shot his fucking leg off his foot, I was like,
oh yeah. Now everybody comes together.
Was not expecting that.
Yo, and then the robot foot that they give him.
Oh, it was terrible.
But that was awesome. They were like, look, it's a foot, and it's like has this meat grinder thing on it, and they stick it on the stump, and it's like, and then he's just walking around on it for a while. You're like, what the fuck?
Oh, it was so bad. I was like, that looks like it hurts. Oh, why would you do that? Just cauterize it or something. Like, lady. Oh, so bad.
Maximus gives us the superhero landing in the power armor.
He did. It was cool though. I actually enjoyed that part. That was actually really cool. And the ghoul was like, "Well, ain't this a bitch?" But he was fucking shooting his ass though. He held his own too.
Oh yeah,
the ghoul fucking killed
everybody
in this scene and sent Maximus flying off into the fucking nethers. So Ella, so I keep calling her Ella. So Lucy and the doctor escape the town. They're trying to get him to Moldaver. Moldaver is the lady that led the Raider group that invaded Vault 33 that stole Ella's daddy. And that's what her whole thing is. She wants to get her dad back. She's trying to get Kyle MacLachlan back.
Really, really, we'll get there, but I love the turnaround on that. I was like, oh.
I just like how I almost love how basic the premise of her story is. Like, I have to go get my dad back.
Yeah, like
going out in the world to go get him. Like, what direction are you walking? That way. Like, okay. And now the adventure starts. Like, this is a Disney shit, but it's like rated R. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready for an adventure.
It was like the Wizard of Oz, but like
with blood and murder.
yeah.
And monsters. And then I love, oh my god, one of the best things about this show is the flashback scenes.
Oh, they're great.
Oh yeah.
With Walton Goggins' character, you're uncovering more of the past. This is an area that the games never, ever, 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 ever touch on.
Wow.
Ever. There was one like a simulation mission in a game where you played as like you were playing as a military guy, an American military fighting the Russians in Alaska or something.
Yep, it was the Chinese in Alaska in 2066, which is the war that the character of Cooper fought in and talks
Mm.
about in the show, that he was one of those Marines in the Battle of Anchorage.
It's so fucking tight. So that's about as far as you go in the games, as far as like talking about the past. But here, I love that you're getting a lot more of what was leading up to this and some of the people involved, and the fact that like Walton Goggins' character, this actor Cooper, becomes kind of like the spokesman for Vault-Tec, and
Such a cool thing.
like it's just cool. Like that kind of encompasses his story over the next several episodes, getting deeper into Vault-Tec. But it's just cool to see like the revelations. Like, see that little fucker on the screen with his thumbs up? That's Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
Yo, that was cool.
Cooper Howard. We had no idea.
Yeah, fucking great.
That was phenomenal. I was like, oh, that is way to give character to the character that's just a cartoon. Like that's really great story writing. Like that was phenomenal. Like really, really great.
And it calls to the very first episode when he's talking to his daughter, and he's like, oh yeah, and back in the war they taught us, if you see a mushroom cloud, you hold your thumb up and you kind of look at it to determine if it's one that you're good or if you got to run. So the whole thumbs up is actually them determining, okay, yeah, it's a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, you can see him squinting with one eye, so he's actually looking at the mushroom cloud.
This was a takeaway, nothing to do with the game, it's an interesting twist that the ghouls have a chemical, or they call them chems. It's basically drugs that will keep them from turning feral. So in the game, we all know that when you're in those dark little hiding spots and you hear that call of a feral ghoul, you got to keep your head on a swivel because they're coming, and they're coming fast. So,
and there's going to be lots of them.
Yeah, depending on where you're at, there could be many.
76, when you go to that fucking golf course, there's
oh yeah, they're everywhere.
What, ghouls?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're feral, but like, you know, you do run into some that are cool characters. Like in Fallout 4, there's one in particular that wears a suit. He's like a private detective. He's fucking great. So, you know, there are some ghouls in the games that
Hancock,
are kind of
the
like
one with the tricorn.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, and so the good doctor died, and they realized that they didn't really need anything but his head, because he had implanted something in his neck. So Lucy cuts his head off and starts dragging that around with her, and it's just funny to see like all the different characters come upon the body.
Yeah,
like it'll just like keep following the tracks.
Yo, this shit was crazy.
Yes.
So Maximus, he's trying to repair his
fighting
suit.
off raiders to save his power armor.
He's trying to repair his suit. He comes across these guys over there, and a whole scene ensues that involves some serious head trauma.
So our boy from
he was Bo from Superstore,
but he becomes his squire, and
what's his name?
He doesn't know the whole time he's Maximus, but mind you, this character was bullying Maximus the whole time at when they were originally in their
camp. Remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember his name either. I might have to pull that. But yeah, and it again. Cool. This was a really great scene. I don't know what this thing is. Is it in the game?
It's assuming. A gulper. Yes, it is.
It's human.
Well, that's the thing, is there are gulpers in the game, but I remember when we saw the previews for this, I'm like, it looks familiar, but not like anything we've seen. And of course, we find out the reason why is that this is actually a human gulper. This was created in Vault 4, where it's nothing but scientists who are experimenting on people.
Oh, so crazy, dude! But then it had like fingers and shit as the mouth, like
inside,
that was...
like holding, like trying to hold her, like eat her with the hands in the mouth. That was crazy.
That was so crazy and disgusting. It was like, oh yeah, it was like yeah.
But those
Dude.
things were freaky, and it was a great scene watching Walton Goggins use her as bait and dropping her into the thing.
Oh, that was great. That was a great scene.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
And then like he bites. Is this where she bites his finger off?
yes.
Not yet. It's
No,
after
no,
this
no,
because
that was after. Yeah.
yeah, it's coming up.
He just gives her the business right here after
But
this.
that was crazy too. Do you have a clip of that one, or do you have not?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No, I've got it.
Cool.
It's a few slides ahead.
And so Lucy's dad was the overseer of Vault 33. So because he was kidnapped, they're now holding elections in Vault 33. This is what we're looking at here. These two chuckleheads up here who never stood a chance in hell against a lady from Deadpool.
Yeah. Okay.
We all knew that.
And this goes to show the naivete of people in the vault, because they're talking about the raiders who came in to basically kill them. And they're all discussing, oh, we're going to teach them Shakespeare. We're going to make them members of society. And yet it's only Norm and, of course, the one who got the fork in her eye, who are looking at this going, no. These guys are no good. And of course,
Norm,
yeah,
Moises Arias, fantastic actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was particularly good in Monos, or was it Chrono? Monos. That was a good little action flick, or a good little dramatic action flick he was in. And I thought his character is he has a lot going on, man, behind his eyes. Like every time he's on screen, you're like, ooh, he's planning something. Like that little dude is always on something.
Yeah.
In the top corner, so we've got this meeting going on, and the guy comes in, and I need to interrupt, and they're, oh, well, you can bring it out in front of the group. This was a call back to Fallout 1, the original, because the premise behind your character needing to leave the vault in the first place is that the water chip goes bad, and you need to go find a replacement. So the fact that they pulled that into the show and used the exact piece of equipment that they show you in the game, again, attention to detail, so good.
And now you're showing how they get the head. Lucy and the ghoul did not get the head out of the Gulper, but Maximus and Thaddeus did, even though Thaddeus thinks that Maximus is Night Titan.
Yeah.
Thaddeus is getting eaten with the fingers in the mouth, and Maximus pulls him out, but it actually pulls the whole Gulper's insides out with him.
Gross. I was like, oof.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Good
now
visual.
you could see from this picture, which you didn't think about it until after we found out, the arms are human arms.
Yeah. Oh, I noticed that the whole time.
So
human arms.
Ew.
Yeah. Gross.
It's off-putting.
Here's where the ghoul and Lucy are now heading out, because while they were trying to bait the Gulper out, the ghoul, all of his vials of medicine that keep him from going feral are all broken. So he now has to head out to try and find more of the medicine. And I actually pulled the audio from it because she talks about the golden rule, and then he tells her the golden rule of the wasteland.
Well, the wasteland's got its own golden rule.
Oh, what's that?
Thou shalt get sidetracked by bullshit every goddamn time.
And that is so true.
It
As
is.
you mentioned earlier, Steve, you're on the main mission, and next thing you know, you've spent 3 hours in the game doing the stupidest things, and you're like, what the hell? Because there's
What
so
was I
much
doing
to do,
again?
you're
What
always
was I doing
sidetracked.
again?
Always.
You're like,
Oh, yeah.
like you start on
So-
one mission and you end up doing 16 others before you even get to like the
Yes.
next part of the main mission you're trying to do. But that's how these games work, and that's one of the reasons why you love them. And it was fun. I do remember hearing him read that golden rule and chuckling from that.
Here's
Very
where we
true.
talked about that Cooper Howard is a characterization of the Vault Boy. And as they're walking, they see the big billboard with Vault Boy advertising, and he just puts a bullet right through the face. And you don't really think about it at the time,
No.
but it's just his frustration, because realizing that, a lot of this he was directly involved in.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Mhm.
We get to episode 4, and here we finally get introduced to another ghoul. Up until now, we'd only ever seen the one.
Yeah.
And we see him, and he is right on the edge of turning feral.
Yeah,
So
feral. I like that.
it's kind of nice that you get to see another ghoul, and he's talking, and he makes reference to non-ghouls, as they call them in the game, smooth skins.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
again,
and
it
like,
tells
and
the
then-
story without in a nice way.
What's that hanging on? Is like ass jerky or something. he
Ass
said.
jerky. Yeah.
Ugh.
What is this?
So here again this is where they're trying to do their election for overseer, and they're having their conversation about the Raiders and trying to appease them and make them part of the group. And
And then
I'm trying to think of her name, but she pulls Norm aside because she recognizes that something's not quite right, and she needs to have a conversation with him because he's doing too much snooping around.
Betty Pearson. It's Mrs. Betty Pearson. And but like what Norm is figuring out is like you're realizing that something is off in
Yes.
Vault 33.
A lot of shit.
Something weird is off. Like remember, because like him and Chip, I think his name is, went over to Vault 32, and like shit was all fucked up over there. There was like people like remember like there was like one dude that had like a fork in a toaster and it was all burned up. There was like people that had like obviously killed themselves and all kinds of stuff. And then they go back like a day later and it's like perfectly brand new. There's just like you can see little spots of blood that they missed, or like the paint was still wet in some spots, like where they were painting over shit. And it's like, okay,
That's
what's going on?
We've got a couple slides. That's actually coming up. This is just when he started to get wise and realize that something's
Oh, is
off.
this right before he goes?
Just before he goes over. Here's your finger swap.
Man, I'm like an episode ahead. What's the problem?
That's all right. We gotta get through this anyway, man. Forget it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, in some ways, I almost wish the show came out week to week.
I
To
agree.
give us an opportunity to go over this one at a time. But I do. I love binging, and I've binged this so much.
This shit was crazy. I didn't think any of this was gonna happen, but it did.
No, and then
Oh.
she's running around with a gray finger the rest of the show, and he's running around with her finger the rest of the show.
Yeah.
Wild.
And
No,
here's where he goes to sell her, and we get a Mr. Handy.
Yeah.
That
And we
was great.
finally get to
Those Mr.
see.
Handies those things looked great in the show.
Oh, yeah.
They looked pitch perfect. So
We get the introduction into more ghouls, and
Mhm.
of course we'll see later on when she finally gets to the NCR encampment that some of the ghouls in the camp were the ones that she let go from the mini mart here.
Yeah.
that was a
And
cool.
Here's
It
what
was a,
Steve
that
was
was a
just
cool
talking about a
scene
second ago.
with the supermarket. I guess it does. Like she kind of gets knocked out, and then it cuts to this. So
Yeah, this is where they're jumping back and forth, and we get to see something was really off in that other vault. And according to the blood, they figured it out.
Foosball through the chest. It's not bad.
Yeah, damn. I didn't even notice that.
And see, look, Lucy's armor is changing as one does when you're playing the game. You get the light armor that you add on top of the vault suit.
Nice.
I like when she shoots him with the dart, the ghoul, and he's like, "That's a very small drop in a big bucket of drugs."
He did say that.
And at the end of this, when she gives him some vials and he goes in and finds basically the mother load of chems, he is going to town.
Yeah. I like the fact that even though she went through all that shit, she still gave him what he needed. That's where I knew the turn was going to begin to happen, kind of, to where as if, oh, they're going to build some kind of friendship later on. And it may not be a great friendship, but like at the same time, there's going to be something there. I guess
He toughened her up. Like
Oh,
had
yeah.
he not been tough with her like that, she might not have made it out of that supermarket.
I agree. I hope they get to that at some point, but we'll keep moving. But
This was fucked up here where Maximus reveals himself to be who he is, and Thaddeus steals the fucking battery out of the suit and leaves him in it. Can you just imagine how hot, like, just imagine you're in that suit and it just turns off? No air ventilation, you can't move. You're just stuck.
Claustrophobic.
You can't do anything. Oh my God.
that's
I would die. I would just die. Like,
Yeah.
ugh.
then getting attacked, then getting eaten on the inside, fucking by these nasty ass roaches and shit, which was fucking disgusting. Ugh.
Then
But
Lucy.
then Lucy came out to his rescue. Luckily, I don't even know how fucking close they were, but I guess he was close enough. And that was after that. That was cool. Oh, this was a great scene. Like really, really, really well done. I don't know who these actors are, but like I felt I knew that they were familiar from something, but I couldn't tell. I think that one guy's from Yellowstone, but maybe I'm crazy.
It was just a great scene that kind of set the tone of the world.
Yeah.
It just really let you know what you were up against at every turn.
Yeah.
Everybody's out to kill you.
And what everybody's up against. But then, like, there's other times, like, I don't know if you have the clip of it or not, but where she's like walking through the woods and there's like this old couple that just walks right past her. I think one guy's got like a bird cage on his back.
Yeah.
And they're just going about their business and there's no interaction, but like, it's just, you never know in the world of Fallout.
Yeah, that was fucking weird. What is this?
This is when they're having the elections. And again, Norm is starting to figure out because he realizes that every one of the overseers have always been from Vault 31. And he's looking at all the names and he's starting to put together something is definitely off.
What's up with Vault 31? And he's starting to get pissed off that they're feeding these fucking raiders that killed their families and did all this shit, and they're feeding them like the best food and like desserts and all this shit, and Norm has had enough.
In there.
So the big thing about this, Sean, is the new California Republic. That's a big part of Fallout New Vegas. It's alluded to and mentioned in all the other Fallout games, even 76, but it's never really shown like what it is in its entirety that I can like remember. So any mention of the new California Republic is kind of exciting because like I want to know more about that. And that fucking flag is sweet. The new California Republic flag, which is like a bear with two heads, that is sick.
It's cool. That'd be a cool shirt.
They have it. It's out there already.
Here's what you were saying, where they go over to Vault 32, and now all of a sudden it's perfectly cleaned up. The bodies are gone, the toaster's back, cleaned up and plugged in, and Norm just has that look to where he knows that this is just all.
Well, and Chip and Homeboy right here in the front and center.
Yeah. So they're in this new. Is this the new bunker? Forgot.
Yeah, they
Vault 4.
They went to a hospital and fell into a hole that took them to Vault 4. And I think most of episode 6 is backstory. This is all this is where we get most of the Vault Tech stuff with Walton Goggins, right?
Yeah.
Now I have to say,
shit, I forgot about the Cyclops.
I called the number.
What happened?
As soon as this episode, I watched this episode, I called the number. It's just a person screaming.
Oh, I heard that. I did hear that.
It just goes right to.
Oh,
I had to call it right away.
It's just a person screaming.
That's all it is. A person screaming.
That's awesome.
So yes. Now the other part that's interesting, and I didn't pick up on this until watching it the second time, when Cooper Howard's doing his whole commercial and backstory and that whole thing in the vault, he's in Vault 4.
Oh, okay.
So the vault that he's talking about, and even those people he says at the table, they're like, "Oh yeah, this vault's going to be run all by scientists."
Oh,
And
that's
then we
this
go
vault. Okay.
and that's this vault, but now we're 200 years later and
I
where
didn't-
that vault has evolved.
So
I
is
didn't pick
is
up
the
on it.
Cyclops a thing in the game?
No.
Not that I've ever
Is it
seen.
weird that the Cyclops has 2 eyebrows? Throws me off. But like, I don't know. Like, I guess it's like a decent looking Cyclops. Like, I don't know. Like it's pretty good,
It worked.
all things considered. This vault is very, very strange. I like Maximus's turn in this whole vault thing. I like how he like starts off being very skeptical, but then very quickly
Yeah.
becomes acclimated to the privileges and comforts of vault life. And the whole time Lucy's like, something's off. And then yeah, and then shit just gets weird. They're like worshiping some moon god and having some weird blood orgies and shit.
Yeah. I like this.
Fucking cool.
Cool scene. This is a cool scene. And then it kind of brought back it, but the crazy part is he knows who she was back then when he first met her so many years ago. She ain't changed. That was that I was like, oh, this is starting to come together very weirdly, and things are starting to kind of play out. And I love the story of how they just played all this out. It was really, really great.
But that's one of the questions that's still out there. We still don't know how she is basically preserved. We
Well,
know that Lucy's
it has-
dad and all of them were in the cryo tubes.
Has to be the same thing. She has
It
to
has
have
to be,
some,
but we don't know.
she has to have, there has to be like some other vault stuff, like another company or like an, has to be something.
Dude, this was a gross scene when that lady was in the thing and all those things came out of her and started eating at her and shit. I was like, ooh, this is gross. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
Those were the gulpers.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's
she
disgusting,
gave.
dude. Fucking
But
gross.
that's one of the things that actually was talked about in all of the Fallouts, in how, and they really get into it at, I think, in the very last episode, how so many vaults were nothing but experiments. Like they were just doing all kinds of crazy shit to people just to see what would happen.
That's crazy.
Start of 7. This was just kind of a cool thing to where at the very beginning, the guy's wearing the same suit as the NCR Rangers from New Vegas,
Mm-hmm.
which makes you wonder, is that what he and his son, or is he a former NCR Ranger?
Well, it would make sense, right? It's fairly close. It's
Yeah.
closer to New Vegas than any other game we've been in that wasn't
So-
New Vegas.
I love this vault because they were so nice. It was just, and they were awkwardly nice. Like they were just weird. Like, we're gonna cut your head off. But we all thought that she was gonna get her head cut off. But all he did was just cut like a little thing. It's like you can leave.
Can we sharpen? Can we
He's
get
like,
this
we got-
thing
we-
sharpened?
We gotta get this sharpened. We gotta get this taken care of.
It was great. I like it.
Yes.
I also like Maximus's description of like sex. He has no idea what she's like. You want to have sex? And he's like, is that like where like it explodes? It gets all swollen and then it explodes. She's like,
That was great.
he's like, I don't want to do that. I heard you can only do that once and then you can't. Like, the Brotherhood of Steel. Those fucking poor bastards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so Maximus stepped on Thaddeus's foot.
Oh, it was.
So
He pulled that sock off. It's like, how are
that's his
you
big
even walking?
toe hanging, and I'm just like, that's the other thing too. Like parts of the show, I'm like, when you see that, and he's just like, ooh, and he puts his sock back on and then starts walking. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like who does that?
I
Like,
would, if I took my sock off and saw that, I would pass out. I would never move again. I'd just be like,
wasn't the dog licking it?
Oh, yeah.
and he's like, hey, get out of here! What the hell? Like what?
Then you put him in the freezer.
So this guy finally gets his comeuppance. He's been trying to hawk his wares the whole show. Comes across Daddy's. He's like, I can fix that foot. No problem. Here, take this elixir. And he gives him this shit. Thaddeus inhales it. And right before your very eyes, his foot magically comes back together, heals itself right up. He's like, holy shit, that's great. And he's on his way. There's no way that does not come with a cost.
Oh, well, we'll find that out later. And then 32, 30, all these. Well, they're all
And
dead.
yeah. which they don't tell you, but we can all assume that Norm poisoned them all.
Norm
Yeah.
had to have. Norm's been the one bringing their food. Norm had to have been the one that poisoned them.
Yeah.
So they're moving a
Here-
bunch of
here's
people
your other
from Vault
flashback
30.
to where after
Sorry.
going to
We have a weird delay happening. And
Yeah.
Something's going on. The 32 and 33 that you were seeing, Sean, that was like when they were separating the people. They're repopulating Vault 32. So they're moving a whole bunch of people out of 33 and into 32. Norm is not going. But Chip is. Chip and Eye Patch Lady.
Yeah. I don't know what that is. Then what this is.
Well, it's the
this-
reunion of Dogmeat and the Ghoul. That was fun. I like seeing them together. They have a nice relationship.
and that was when in the past Cooper Howard was given the device to eavesdrop on his wife, and he has that dilemma of, do I do it? Do I not do it?
And who's that? Fred Armisen. It was great. Playing like soft music.
And I love
That's the
Thaddeus.
game.
Thaddeus is so good here. He's just like, yeah, that's great. I really love it. Yeah, that's the treble. I can hear it. It's very obviously like ad-libbed, but it's perfect. I really ended up liking Thaddeus's character a lot, especially here when Maximus and Lucy, like, he could have acted way differently than he did, but like he sees him and they just kind of talk, and he's like, they watch him like heal in front of him, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're a ghoul." And I just love his reaction to everything. He's just like, "Oh no, that sucks."
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
You can't
I gotta
tell
get
him.
out of here.
Yeah. Hey, let me get a head start at least.
Yeah.
He's fucking great. I love that guy.
31. You going to 31 now, and
Here's your
That was
there's your
the
screen, Steve.
the hacking screen, yeah.
Yes. Just
right
like the game.
Yeah, you have to find like keywords and it'll tell you like how many letters are in common with the correct word. And sometimes, man, that shit was a pain.
Ed, what's this little clip of this little thing right here? This is in the game too?
So this is the start of the final episode, and you see where the Brotherhood went into Philly and basically took over.
Look at that logo.
Thaddeus
Look at
Thaddeus
that.
was
The logo on the flag. You got like the sword with the gears and the wings. That's a sweet logo.
they bring Maximus in, and he's supposed to be bringing them the head that they're looking for. Turns out, obviously, we know it's not the right one. Now, this was again just one of those little things that I noticed. So in the upper right, you'll see where they put Thaddeus down. He's on his knees, and the Brotherhood guy's got the gun to the back of his head. If you look right next to it, that black and white image, that was from Fallout 1, where they're showing you it's like a TV commercial, and you see two guys in power armor walk up behind somebody, put him on his knees, shoot him in the back of the head, and then they turn to the camera and wave to it. So again, it's just the little things that I'm like, that's right from the first game.
Mm.
So here's where Lucy ends up going back to the NCR, and that's one of the ghouls that she released from the Super Duper Mart.
Yeah, I did see that.
And you can tell that what she's going there thinking that these are the bad guys, that they came to my vault, they stole my father.
Right.
But just as she's walking in, you can kind of see, because she's like, wait, these are the ghouls that I freed, and there's kids and people are laughing and having fun. This isn't a bad guy camp.
Mhm.
Flashback.
That was that whole scene in the flashback there was like, I like her Pit Boy. I like when they're brand new like that. They look fucking fresh when they're like clean, little chromed out like that.
Yeah.
Very clean look. And then Walton Goggins' car, in particular, I'm just saying, like, the way the door like slides in and out of the car itself is just a sweet fucking look.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. This was cool. This whole shit played out so well, and the reason why, and what happened, and then the mother, and then her. These two were, I think they both. I assume they both had a a love affair for each other, but they both loved each other. That's what I was assuming.
Moldaver and the dad.
No,
No.
the mother, which calls mother and her. I feel like they were in love with each other.
Oh, Moldaver and Lucy's mom.
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of
Yeah.
thought that.
yeah,
What
that's
is-
what I thought. I thought they had a relationship. Like I felt like they had a bond with each other because that's why she left her alive, or not live, but dead live. But like she was a
Yeah.
monster. And then like for him to see her, and then for Lucy to see her mother, and then there were in the flashback they were about to hold hands. Like I think that they had an affair. Like they loved each
Mhm.
other. Something else. Was there.
Makes sense.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, and then that was what Infinite Power.
Yeah, so that was what the doctor injected in himself was the that's like the cold fusion or whatever. It's
Yep.
like unlimited energy.
The
Norm gets into Vault 31. It's completely empty except for a brain on a Roomba. So
Yeah.
good.
was it trying to kill him or something like that? I can't remember what it was trying to do.
Yeah, he was trying to inject him and he kept telling him to
Yeah, I
stand
think
still.
he had like a little tiny needle and it's like, hold still. It's
Yeah.
like moving super slow.
And it's interesting that's Bud. Bud was the one who didn't go into one of the cryo chambers. He ends up as the brain on wheels.
Oh shit.
This was fantastic because this is when everything becomes like the oh shit moment. You've got Cooper Howard who's listening in on his wife. All of the top executives from the top companies in the
Mhm.
country
That
that
was
pretty
cool.
much run everything
Yeah,
have
that
all
was
come together, and they're talking about the fact that, okay, well, you built these vaults, but you guys are in trouble because if there's peace, you've got a product that nobody wants to buy. And all of a sudden it's like, well, that's fine. It's going to happen because we're going to drop the bomb ourselves. And the look on Cooper Howard's face is fantastic. And of course, you've got all of these main characters. The biggest one that comes out is the
Rob.
head of Robco.
Yeah.
Now, the image that I put underneath of it is because Mr. House was the computer in New Vegas that was running the show. So it's almost like the brain in a jar, what was it, Winter Soldier?
Yeah.
When the scientist was in the
Armin-
computer.
Armin Zola.
So it was the same thing with House in New Vegas.
Oh, that's cool.
Here's all your vats, and there's Hank McLean's, which is empty, at least momentarily. We
So
assume his
basically,
son's
you find out here that all the overseers of Vault 33 are actually people that have been frozen from 2077. And are just waiting to get unfrozen and turned into a ruler of the vault.
Oh, that's cool.
Here's where she utters the line that anybody who's played these games has been waiting for the entire time.
Well, a line uttered by
War never changes.
Mr. Ron Perlman.
I hope that at some point they get him to reprise that for this show.
You know what they should do? They should have him voice like a super mutant and say that shit. Like they should have, they could have him be a super mutant.
Oh yeah,
they could do it. Super mutants aren't. There's some of them that are like chatty and like. I'm pretty sure there's some that are like your allies in some of these games.
Well, I think that now that we've got a first season, they could do an intro to season 2, like we have for all the games, and have him do the voiceover for it.
Mhm.
Well, they're definitely going to have more money next season. Guarantee you that.
This was a great fight.
Oh
scene.
yeah. So here's the big final battle.
Yo, when he came out in the dark and took out the fucking the armor suits, that shit was tough, dog. Like he's like, you know why? Because I was in them suits. I was like, oh shit. He's like,
Yeah.
he say there's one weak spot in each of those suits, right in the chest. I was like, oh shit. Man, that shit was tough, dog. Like, yo, I tell you, he reminds me of the Man in Black, dog. Like, yo, that shit, the way they worked this motherfucker, the way they worked Walton Goggins out, perfect fucking character. He has like
He
this hero.
steals every scene.
Yeah, dude, fucking great, man. It's fucking role of the. It is one of his best roles, man. It fucking worked. I even like this scene right here where she's like, she had the gun pointed, thinking that she was going to point at whoever, and end up fucking pointing at her mom, and that was like, all right, cool, and you ready to go? And again, Lucy, is it Lucy, right?
Put her out of her misery.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's built up that.
Yeah.
She's built up that toughness that the ghoul has given her to kill her fucking father at this point, because her father was a piece of shit. And I think the whole turnaround and everything with this was just great fucking story writing, and it just worked all well. You know, it's perfect.
And they fire up the fusion reactor, and all of a sudden you see all the lights come on down in LA. And Maximus's friend basically says that he is responsible for killing Moldaver, even though he isn't. And he is pretty much proclaimed a knight. And now we know that he's going to have a pretty powerful role in the Brotherhood going forward.
A
Because they're
role that he
all going to
doesn't
look to him.
a role that he doesn't want. He wants to go live with Lucy in her vault. He wants to go live happily ever after with Lucy in his vault. That's his whole plan. Oh, we're done with this. Moldaver's dead. I'm fucking out of here. I'm gonna go back with Lucy. Very quickly, he gets corralled back into the Brotherhood and is
Boy,
almost against his will told that he's going to be leading the fight against the vault. Am I mistaken?
I'm gonna say it, and I don't know if we pointed this out. Maybe we did, but these two characters had such a Finn and Rey vibe to them that this is how Star Wars, the sequels, should have been fucking written for these
Except
characters.
I actually want these two to be together.
yeah, but I wanted Rey and fucking Finn to be together too in the beginning. But these characters played out the same way they did in Star Wars. It's really, but way better. Like, it's just the storyline was just way better. But like, it's crazy. But
So
I
we got great closure to a lot of the story, and then we get the final piece, which anybody who's played these games was like, oh my God, when he comes over the hill and you see New Vegas off in the distance. And on top of that is, one of the monsters that we've all been wondering, where's it at? We see the skull of a Deathclaw.
now what is
Now, so a
Deathclaw
Deathclaw
bad
is
news.
it's probably the most dangerous monster in the wasteland. It looks like kind of like a raptor, long arms, super sharp claws. They're fast, they're powerful. If you're not a strong enough level character, you see something like that, you run. There's nothing you're going to do to stop that thing.
You got to hope to do a dip move, Sean. You see one of them if you're not.
I did read an interview where they talked about the Deathclaw, and they were saying that it was intentionally left out of this season because they knew it was such a pivotal monster in the Fallout universe that they wanted to give it the right time and exposure through it, and they couldn't do it in a first season because we had so much world building that needed to take place. So that was exciting. Now
they needed a bigger budget for it as well.
Oh, I'm sure that too. Yeah. This was just a couple of monsters that I always thought of throughout the games that I think I would like to see. Obviously, we have the glowing ones, which those are ghouls that have become so irradiated that they actually glow, and they're dangerous to even stand next to because they'll just, your radiation level goes through the roof and you'll just drop dead if you stand next to one for too long.
I personally like your middle choice here, the Mirelurks. Those things are great. They're a pain in the ass to kill because the only weak spot they have is right there in their stupid face. Right in the middle. Yes. You have to like hit the vats. You got to hit it to where it goes like fucking freeze, like pause time, and you can like zoom in on their face and like fucking click the button like several times. Try to shoot them right there. That's the only way to kill them. But very, very cool.
And the rad scorpions, which I know there were times I'd be out in the wasteland and you'd come across 2 or 3 of them and I would end up dying because I just couldn't fight them fast enough. The only my only technique was to find a big rock or something to climb on top of.
And try to shoot them as the AI attempts to find a way to get to you.
But
I think for me it's really Super Mutants. It's Super Mutants or bust for me for season 2. Gotta have them in there. New Vegas is cool, but I feel like there's so much more wasteland stuff that I feel like they haven't touched on. We really didn't get to see a lot of like the cities. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a big part of the Fallout games is like running around in the old decrepit cities, like the big, like for instance, when you're like running around in Fallout 3, you're running around like Boston. And you can like run around in like the library, the library, National Library of Boston or whatever.
yeah,
You can run around in these
DC.
cool buildings.
They're all good.
And you can run around these places, these national monuments, and it's like in the Fallout world. And I feel like here we got LA kinda. The city we got was Philly, and then the other city we got was like Shady Sands. That was a whole metropolis that we never got to see, but then was destroyed again. So, like, we never really got that. Almost, I guess, like The Last of Us did it a little bit better, where you run around in the big decrepit cities. But that's the only thing I think we missed, and I don't think like we're going to get that in New Vegas. But I guess New Vegas is going to have that feel, but it's just going to be different. I don't know. I'm really excited about whatever they do, because this just knocked it out of the park. I don't know.
It can't come soon enough.
The only way it could have been better is if they were given, I don't know, $20 million more and 4 more episodes. That's the only way it could have gotten any better.
So, Steve, having played the game, is there any other factions or things that you can think of that you would like to see in future seasons?
I really want them to bring in, like, there was always like alien shit. Like, there was alien shit in here. Like, you could get alien guns. You could get like alien spacesuits and shit. Like, so I want them to bring that, like, touch into that stuff. There was this in one of the games, I think it was 3, there was like a city on an aircraft carrier that I thought was kind of cool. Like
Rivet City.
So some more locations kind of like that, like where like you see like how they turned something that wasn't a city into a city. Some more stuff like that. But factions, I'm having a hard time thinking of the different factions. I know in New Vegas, the New California Republic was in there. They were like stationed there. It was like a military unit. So hopefully I'm pretty sure we're going to see more of them.
Yeah, I think the other big one from New Vegas was the Caesar's Legion. It'll be interesting if they put them in there somewhere.
How are they?
And the only other one that covered
the Caesar's Legion? How are they? Like, what was their look? It's been a long time since I played New Vegas. So
they look like Roman soldiers. They pretty much mimicked everything as if they were in the Roman era.
They're gonna fucking do that, and they're gonna do that shit tough. They're gonna get some big old muscly motherfuckers to wear those robes and be running around in spears and shit. This is Sparta kicking motherfuckers all around that shit. I guarantee you. You're gonna have like one. What other show can you have like a nuclear Fallout City where you have zombie mobsters fighting against Roman legionnaires? Like, this show is gonna be fucking wild, dog.
The only other faction that comes to mind that kind of touched on many of them were the Children of Adam. Those just whack job zealots who worship the atomic bomb. So I'm sure they're going to have to pop in there at some point.
What was that one like tree, that super mutant that turned into a tree? And he was like,
oh, that was in Fallout 3, all the way up in the top. You came across this area that they protected as like a nature area, and he kind of grew into a tree, but he wanted to die, and so you had to kill him, but it pissed everybody off because that's what he wanted.
All right.
Oh yeah, there were some strange side missions.
There's some cool stuff.
Hey,
Yeah,
man, you guys. Go ahead.
No, that's it. I was just trying to think of some other stuff from Fallout that I'd like to see. I know we're not going to get to like the areas that those games were in. So like I'd love to see like Mad Dog, the radio host.
Oh yeah.
That could be cool. But we're not in that area of the map, you know what I'm saying? So we're way off on the West Coast. So
They could
but
still
you know
do
what else?
something
You know what
similar.
else? Cryptozoology is big in Fallout World. Like in 76, they have a big deal with like Mothman because that's kind of the area they're in. Mothman's a big deal. So like if they're in on the West Coast, like there's some Bigfoot shit in there too. That could be kind of cool to add some like put that little bit of extra like X-Files element into the show that the games have. So
Yeah. So good.
Well, you guys said it all way more than I said. You guys
We could do this for another hour.
I know
we are.
I was about to pull up the wiki.
We are at the 1:30 mark. We're at the 1:30. We've done this for an hour and 30 minutes. I mean, again, Fallout was great. It was a great show, and I really enjoyed it. And I mean, you guys definitely enjoyed it. I mean, that's really it. Anybody
I have to throw.
Go ahead.
I do have one other thing that I would like to see, and that would be if there's some firefight out, and they don't have to do anything overt, but in the background, I want to see a guy in a trench coat pull out a gun and help them fight. I want to see the mysterious stranger.
Sean, there was a perk you could get in the game called the Mysterious Stranger, and you'd be fighting people, and it would just happen randomly. Like it would just cut to a cutscene, and you would see this dude in a trench coat come out of the shadows, like blah blah blah, and like fuck up your enemies and like just disappear again. And it was just, and it would play that sound. Bow, 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 bow,
Well, do you feel like Walton Goggins' character is the mysterious stranger?
No. This was this wasn't a ghoul, and it was very like Dick Tracy. Like it had a very gumshoe feel to it. It didn't have the cowboy of Walton Goggins. This was very like, hey, see, like that was. I saw somebody posted a clip the other day. It was like the most gangster mysterious stranger clip. And it was like they were fighting in New Vegas in a an amusement park area, and there was like a fucking, or maybe it was Fallout 4. Either way, there was a car from a roller coaster that came by, and this fool was on it. He was like pow 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 shooting fuckers as the car was going around. It's like pow 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 pow. It's like, oh, so good.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen. Thank you guys for joining the show. Make sure you like, subscribe. I mean, this was, you guys unpacked a lot, though. Like I just never even do that. I appreciate it, and I thank you guys for taking me down this journey. But we got to call it a night. I'm tired as hell, but I do appreciate it. This is Sean.
No, this is Steve.
This is Ed.
Until next time, everybody.
Level up.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Later.